Good morning. Welcome into Snow the Goalie, the only Flyers podcast, as we reconvene for the morning after. The first time in quite a while that we've done one of these episodes, but the Stadium Series stinker is what required our attention today. Happy Sunday morning to all of you who are joining us live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twixter, and all of you who are going to find this in the podcast feed after the fact, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Russ Joy at Joy on Broad, joined as always by the beautiful Anthony SanFilippo in the middle at SanFilly, and the ultimate beaut himself, Bundy, Chris Therien, on the right, on Twitter at Therien6. Gentlemen, I will say that today I was the first one here, and then Ant went and put in his bullshit propaganda in the comments section that I was rambling, and that's why we were late. And that's just not true. That's not true.
Someone asked why we weren't on yet, and you were in the middle of talking about Nancy teaching in Prince George's County, Maryland, and
because Bundy and I were having a conversation about his daughters having a game,
and that's great, and that's all well and good. And I just said, we're late because Russ is rambling right now.
Not true.
So it was absolutely true.
Fake news.
Yeah,
fake news. Bundy, how are you?
I'm doing good, guys. I'm. Yeah, I mean, it's another outdoor game. I told you or was it Brian Smith? I was telling him my solution last night to the outdoor game. So I don't like them anymore.
You're not alone.
I don't like anything about them. I mean, they put the players in these spots and make them look like fucking clowns. I mean, like walking in with the Rocky stuff and then the Devils. Just put a suit on. Make it look like a pro league, not like some kind of like middle school event. You know what I'm saying?
Like we got it was actually less than 2 minutes in the first Bundy bomb of the morning. Happy Sunday
just
morning,
frustrated
everyone.
Watching it last night. Like it felt like a production. Like it just felt like you couldn't even play a game. Like and then it almost felt like whoever's had that kind of start, you scoring a breakaway 30 seconds into the game. Like it just felt like a whole lot of bullshit for a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah. So I think Bill Barkley has a great comment, and we've said this privately to each other, but I mean it's the truth. Once a year, January 1st is fine. The rest is watered down. 100%, Bill. 100%.
Okay, so I'll say it now, and I'm going to I texted it to Brian Smith yesterday because I heard a rumor, and a couple people said, I just can't wait till this is over. Like the whole thing, till it's just done. That was from yesterday. Win or lose, it was before the game. But what I said to Brian Smith was, you know what they need to do? They need to do the Winter Classic down here, right? And do the Heritage Classic in Canada. And that's it. That's it. Yeah. That's it. Forget the money grab, because what's happening, you're watering it down and it's losing its luster. Like it just doesn't. It doesn't have what. Do
you know how many tickets were given away for free yesterday? It was ridiculous.
I know, Anthony. I know, and they're incorporating in their season ticket plans for next year. Hey, get season tickets. Get 2 tickets to, a game that it's just a lot. It's a lot. They're doing it again today. Listen, I think it's a great notion, and it was a great idea, because a lot of us at one time. And I think that era, like I grew up playing on the ponds and the outdoor rinks and the community outdoor rinks where you watered the rinks with fire hydrants. You'd get the thing and that's what we did. And when I grew up in Ottawa, the canal, the lakes were frozen. It captured that ideology that once was for guys. But that doesn't exist anymore. Guys are playing in these rinks. There's 6 rinks in each building. The part of the outdoor thing is just a thing that happens to guys now, like once or twice, in your childhood, because the parents are racing the kids out to the rinks now. They don't care about that. But that really, go ask guys that played in the NHL when I played. I'll bet you almost 95% of them would say, yeah, I was born and raised on the outdoor rinks or on the rivers or lakes in Canada. I know I was. I'd go out with my dad 4 nights a week, some nights to those community rinks, get a pickup game. I'm snot running all over my face, go home and eat and go to bed. And that was life. But now, and I thought that these games did a really good job of capturing that, but now it's a mess. You got the game, you got green on the outside of it. It looked like fucking summer camp, like on the outside of a hockey rink. It's just, I didn't like it at all. And secondly, Anthony will tell you right now, if you want, Anthony, I mean, it's not like skating on the same ice. It's harder to play and define the kind of game you want to play. it's an exhibition for the fans. But I find even the fans are kind of turning it off a little bit now because it's gotten redundant and old, and they just need to pour everything they have into the Winter Classic, make it 2 awesome teams in an awesome venue in America, like a great sports city where you can bring everybody together, and then have another one in Canada because they deserve it too. And that's it. That's it. That's all I'm calling for. And it'll come back again a little bit. And including the audiences.
I have a way to fix it. I'm not even being an asshole. I legitimately think I have a way to fix it. I agree with you about having one in Canada. I don't think the U.S. needs one. I think that what the league should look to do is do what a lot of these other leagues do. Make it an experience internationally. Take this to a Scandinavian country. Hold on. Just wait.
But they do that.
I know that they do but I'm saying make it an outdoor game in a cold weather country, pick an appropriate month, do a stadium game, make that feel special, make that feel like next level spectacle. Like we will see this, like we know how this is going to work when the Eagles go and play in Brazil, right? That's going to be a big spectacle, right? Just like it was when they went and they did the games in Germany this past year. The WWE is like going crazy having their premium live events in Perth, Australia next week, right? And they're doing a stadium show, make it feel special. I think that that's the way that you can maybe work around it. I think that right now, this is so beyond jump the shark stateside.
No, I disagree with you.
It's watered down. It's not special.
It's watered down for us because this is the 6th time in 14 years, or 15 years, the Flyers have done this. Like, do you think that they're not going to be excited to do this in Columbus next year in Ohio State? They're going to turn out. Yeah, because they've never done one before, right? Mm-hmm. So if you want to give it to teams that haven't done it before, go nuts, go to town, fine, have them do a Stadium Series game, whatever. They're going to get behind it. The thing that you want, if you want to have your marquee teams, and look, the Flyers, even though they have not been a good team the last decade, right? They've been a marquee franchise for this league. So if you want to include the marquee franchises like the Flyers, who are repeatedly in these games, you have to do more like what they did in during the pandemic, which was unfortunate that it was during the pandemic, but it was a really cool experience to do it in a unique space when they did it at Lake Tahoe, right? I mean, that looked pretty cool on television, right? So if you do things like that, if you put outdoor games in unique locales, right? Put it somewhere. One of the things that basketball did is they put it on the warship or the airline. What do they call
on the on the aircraft carrier.
Aircraft carrier. That's what we're looking for. Yeah, like
was it the Intrepid? It wasn't the Intrepid, was
whatever one it was. Bring one there, right? Try that. Like that would be a cool thing. Bring the ice and put it on an aircraft carrier.
Can make it one of the Arizona games since they only get 3,000 people anyway.
Yeah,
put it on the Hoover Dam while we're at it.
No, but seriously, I mean, I have no problem with coming up with unique experience type places in the U.S. and say, okay, you want to put your marquee teams for something like that? That's different. That's unique. That's cool. But doing it in football stadiums and baseball stadiums 4 times a year, 3-4 times a year, it's getting that is the part I agree with you, Russ. That has jumped the shark. But you know what else was terrible yesterday?
Yeah.
The broadcast.
Oh,
how bad was the broadcast of that game? I mean, it was just so not good. So not good. It was as bad as the Super Bowl. In all honesty.
Probably worse than the Super Bowl.
Oh,
well, that's because of Romo. I mean, it's...
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like
poor
Sean
Jim,
McDonough and Ray Ferraro were just not good.
I think Ray is usually pretty good, like getting information out. But you know what? I don't know if I know if someone says Ray's awful. I used to work in the box, like between the benches with Ray. Like when he'd do another broadcast, I was doing the Flyers. And he doesn't annoy me. Like there's some broadcasters in this league that just annoy the shit out of me, but he's not one of them. I don't know. I mean, it's ESPN needs to figure some stuff.
They need to act. They need to act like the worldwide leader.
Care to figure it out. They just don't care.
I think you're right. I don't think they do care.
No, they don't give a shit at all.
I mean, look, Sean McDonough is a fine sports broadcaster. Hockey's not his sport. So why are we throwing him into this? Like, go get a guy that broadcasts hockey on the regular and have that be your guy who's doing your national game. Like, you could tell there was a real disconnect between the two. And like you said, Ray Ferraro is a hockey guy, and he's usually pretty good. But I really felt like there was a total lack of chemistry between those two guys, and it really came through the television that way. And I think that's part of the problem is you putting two guys together that don't work together with regularity. A, and B, one of them is not hockey's not his number one sport.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. It's not that Sean McDonough's a bad broadcaster. He's just not a regular hockey broadcaster with Ray Ferraro, and that makes it bad.
Correct.
So.
You know what else sucks too? Don't put
what
teams
else
like Seattle in your Winter Classic either. That'll help.
Anyway.
Am I crazy for feeling like part of what should make the draw for these kind of games is to go like out of conference games or to go with games that are going to match up superstar versus superstar? Like, you're too geographically.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
I think you're
put
too.
David and Matthews on. I'll watch that.
100%.
Go put that on some lake, right? Somewhere.
Yep. Exactly.
Trees and stuff all around, like the Lake Tahoe thing. I don't care. And bring in 5,000 seats if you can get stands on the perimeter somehow. It's easy to do. You can truck them in. That's what I want to see. I like the sight lines. I want to be sold star potential in the game, and I want to see cold. Like I like that. You know, like where you really captured that stuff where it's freezing cold. It's good stuff. That's what I want to see.
Read my mind. Eric Berkey just read my mind.
That's it. That's exactly it. That's what I'm thinking in my head as I'm saying it.
Yeah.
Just no crowd. You can build, but you can do it because you can have a few people. But that's what you want on the natural ice. Have the lines painted, make it count, and I think you have a model there. But these people going in like MetLife Stadium, people don't like going there for football games. It's that annoying.
It's not.
It is.
It's not a good stadium.
It's awful.
It's not a good stadium.
You get the parkings. So I don't know. Yeah, you watch it. It's just they got to change it up.
I think people are also kind of missing the point here. At least some people are. Like, our Hextall 87 says 5,000 seats doesn't sell enough hot dogs and beers. And Cliff Watling saying that taking the outdoor game overseas is a stupid idea because the NHL makes money at these events. Like, I don't think some people understand how this works when you go abroad. There are places that will actively pay the league to bring those games abroad.
Yeah.
So it's not like the NHL is going to be taking a massive loss on taking a game abroad. And again, if they put it in the stadium, like, yeah, go ahead.
But look at last night, for example.
You're right. Explain it.
Look at last night, for example. I mean, they put 70,000 people in the stadium. I don't know how many tickets were used were comps, but the Flyers gave every season ticket holder tickets to the game for free yesterday. That's how little they sold tickets. So the fact that people are saying that the NHL makes money off of this, they do, but it's not from the ticket sales. It's not. I mean, yeah, do they make some money off of tickets? Of course. And they've been concessions? Yes, of course. They all do. But the reason that they do this so often is the sponsorship money and the television money and the exposure and the marketing of their sport to a different audience. I hope that's a good drink, Russ. You keep staring at it.
Well, I accidentally poked a hole in the thing and I just like had some metal in my mouth.
No,
good now.
But that's all good.
I might have swallowed a piece of metal.
Point is
It's fine.
The point is that the money that the league makes from these games is not from the butts that are put into those seats. That's not their primary source of income. So for anybody who thinks that's the case, it's not. It's certainly not.
Mm-hmm. Talking Philly sports with Matty B is very upset.
Now. Matty
Break down
B
the hockey.
orders the hockey.
Well, we'll get to the hockey. David Waitman also.
Maybe we won't. Fuck it. Maybe we'll just sell. Maybe we won't talk hockey the entire time. Yeah,
$850 jackets is what. That's
insane. Insane. I want to know from people in the comments if you went to the Stadium Series game, did you see anybody with one of the $850 jackets?
Yeah,
the coaches.
Yeah. That's very good.
Here's the one thing I will say. We could talk about the game itself, and there are a lot of things to discuss specifically from the game. But one thing I want to say is this. I felt that Twitter went, at least Twitter, I mean, maybe other social medias as well, but I think Flyers Twitter went way too far with the negative reaction to the result of last night's game.
Mm-hmm.
It was not the Super Bowl, people. It was a regular season game.
Yeah,
If that game was played at Prudential Center or Wells Fargo Center and they lost, would you be upset? Sure, and you should be, because you care and you want the team. That's insanity that there are 1,000.
I want to.
Stadium.
I
saw somebody.
I know that some people, like, especially in the podcast feed, occasionally are like, "Oh, you guys like don't say what happens on the screen." So Mike Logia says the jackets were $999 in the stadium.
I saw somebody say that on Twitter too.
That is insane.
You know the jacket's different if you buy it at the venue instead of buying it at another venue. I mean,
come on now,
dude. If you bought that jacket in Philly, it doesn't count.
It doesn't count. You had to buy it there, right? You had to buy it at the event, right? It's like getting a concert T-shirt, but not being at the concert.
You know what, Ant? Hold on. While we're on the topic of merch, let's break this up with like a little bit of positivity. No, because there was the thing that you sent me. I think this would actually be like a nice way to juxtapose potential corporate greed with a really cool moment. Is that okay? Right. Can we go to that real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. We'll
okay.
Get back to the game, I guess.
And then let's also set this up. So this was over on Instagram. There was a fan who was wearing a Brian Propp jersey at the game. And let me pull this up right here. Here we go. And something really cool happened.
Saw your jersey.
Your jersey?
Yeah.
What's your name? What's your name, Tom?
Tom.
Tom? Tom. How awesome is that?
Hey man, you wear your jersey.
Running a book.
Yeah.
The jersey.
That's cool. One of the friends that I was with, like, he said that he saw that with a sign, so I had to find you.
I got this jersey for. I got this jersey for Christmas when I was in 8th grade. Can my sister take a picture?
So that was I just want to see if there's audio here. There you go. So it was such a cool moment because Brian Propp is walking around on the concourse at the game and sees this guy wearing a Propp jersey, and he comes up. Now, in fairness, Propp has the hood up, and he's kind of like lurking behind the guy. So I get why initially the guy's like, "What the hell's going on?" They're like, "Holy shit, that's Brian Propp." And he comes up and he signs the guy. Well, he asks if it's okay, but he signs the guy's jersey. And as you heard there in the audio, the guy got this as a Christmas gift when he was in 8th grade. And like, what a cool moment. Like, as a fan, what a very cool moment to be walking around and you're repping this guy's jersey and he walks up and he signs it. That's really neat.
Yeah, like he wasn't looking for the autograph. That's what makes it cool. So definitely a classy move there by
That's kind of that's a hard one to do because so if I'm walking in it's just interesting because you have a little, like I do, I have a little piece in my head where it's got like kind of like the you turn off like your past as a player kind of, and I love that Proper did this, but now listen, I don't see as many 6 jerseys as 26 jerseys, but it would be one where if you see a jersey, I don't know if I would. It almost feels like I'd feel cocky or arrogant going up and say, "Hey, can I sign that for you?" Even though it's a nice gesture, like you know what I'm saying? Like I don't. You don't want to say to yourself, "Hey, can I sign my jersey you're wearing?" Because it's
no. I think what I would probably do.
Like,
well, look, you're a former athlete, right? So you have a different perspective. But if I'm trying to put myself in your position, if I were you and I saw somebody wearing a Therien jersey, and I would walk up to the guy and be like, "Hey, nice jersey," and see if he recognized who I was. And then it'd be like, "Oh my God, it's Therien," blah blah blah. And then I'm sure he would ask you to sign it, or you would say, "Oh, do you want me to sign it?" Whatever. At that point, you're having a conversation, right?
Yeah, and I never turn it on. Like I'll speak to him. You see it up there, sign anything.
Yeah.
I just find it odd. Like if someone did it, is that the right thing to do? And nothing. I love that Proper did it because that's how we're bringing fans back. But on the personal side, your own self, you're saying, "Man, I don't know. I don't want to seem like an arrogant guy, right?" Like it's kind of odd. So, but
it is weird.
I'm glad I think like that actually because. Tells me I've got some sanity in my head, but again, like I wouldn't run over and say it. Yeah. But Proper is he's unbelievable like that. Like he loves signing stuff, and I think it's unbelievable.
Bundy signs Anaheim jerseys.
I've signed.
Buddy,
I've signed a lot of weird shit. Believe me.
I want to get to this question. Rob Ski asks, what's the most non-hockey venue or city someone recognized you?
You know what? I'll tell you a great story. I was probably 20 years ago. Another city yet happens. You get somebody once in a while, but it's always like a real diehard fan.
Right.
And I went to Benihana like 20 some years ago because my kids were little. Like they were like 3 and 4. And, you go there and the guy's whipping it up and he's doing all the tricks for kids and they don't say much. And if they do, a lot of them, they have broken English and they do, everybody loves Benihana, right? So I'm sitting there for like an hour and the guy's like talking and doing it all. And he looks and he goes, big game tomorrow night. Hey, big guy. And I'm like, holy shit. The fucking Benihana chef knows who I am. Like, he's got like the hat and he's been sitting there whipping the shrimp up and he looks over and I'm like, and I didn't want to do like the full accent. He's like, yo, big game tomorrow. Hey, big guy. And I'm like, holy jeez, man. The dude knows who I am. So I thought like that was like, so you'd never know who it is that, when you're out there in public, because there's a lot of fans all over the place.
Yeah.
No, I didn't get an extra shrimp tossed in the top of my baseball cap.
Bundy, do you think Hitch has ever been to Benihana?
Dude, I lived at Benihana when the kids were little. Like it was unbelievable.
Ant's dying. Ant, what's wrong?
Because I don't want you to get started on this again. You just.
I love
You just serve it
Don't
up,
get me
man. He wanted to know if Hitch had ever been to Benihana. Come on.
I fucking guarantee you Hitch has been to Benihana. All right, can we break down a hockey game? I'm driving to Baltimore for a 2:00 Loyola, Maryland start today. The girls.
Okay, fine. Fuck.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the hockey game. Okay.
But
So,
what I was saying before we got sidetracked and derailed there was
actually, before we talk about the game, a big thank you to our sponsor, Packhorse Moving. Make sure you use promo code SNOW to get $77 off your first move or your next move. Maybe it is your first move. But PackhorseMoving.com proudly serves the tri-state area with locations in Burlington, New Jersey, Norristown, Pennsylvania, and Wilmington, Delaware. Plus, they're launching in Georgia as well. I did see we had a person the other day. I saw a person the other day say, hey, I'm trying to move my kid from Tennessee. Will they move my kid? I don't know, but give them a call or head over to their website, PackhorseMoving.com. And again, give them the promo code SNOW to get $77 off your next move. And like we mentioned during the Press Row show.
Rice than me.
The what?
His bowl of fried rice is higher than mine. Okay, Russ. You can't do this anymore. Stop it.
I'm saying I don't mind getting usurped for Packhorse Moving. What I was saying, I don't mind that.
Listen, when Hitch was done at Benihana, did they have to put him in a? Never mind.
No, stop.
What?
No, don't go there.
I didn't go anywhere. I was just mentioning that perhaps
moving. You were going to go with a moving truck. Yes,
yeah.
You were going to go with. I know where you're headed with that. Yes,
because I'd want to take one of those tables home to my house and cook outside. You need a moving. Like, come on. All right, anyway, let's go.
Anyway, my point was that we made this out to be, a lot of people on social media made last night's game out to be basically like the equivalent of a Super Bowl for the Flyers.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't. It was one game. And so here's the thing. Yes, it's on national television. Yes, it's being played in a football stadium, right? And yes, it's, everybody's watching the game. You assume. We haven't seen what the overnight ratings are yet. But the fact of the matter is that it was a loss. It was a loss, whether it was there, whether it was here, whether it was at the Prudential Center. And yes, it's one that you should be upset about because it was an opportunity to bury the Devils. Like if you win that game in regulation yesterday, the Devils are 9 points behind you with 26 games to go. You're probably putting yourself in a very strong playoff position at that point. You lose the game. It was a bigger game to the Devils than it was to the Flyers. Okay. You lose the game, and now they're within 5 points of you. Okay, fine. but you still have a 5-point lead on the Devils in the stand. It's not like losing that game knocked you out of a playoff spot or says, oh, that's it, they're done. They can't recover from this. That's the end of the season for the Flyers. That's not it at all. And I think that it was important that Torts highlighted that after the game. And he said that. He said, and he's right when he says the bigger concern for him is actually not the fact that they lost the game last night, but how they play against Chicago on Wednesday. Because what could end up happening here, and this is the thing that I want to talk about more than anything else, is that the players could have taken the mindset that game yesterday had more meaning than it did, win or lose, right? They could have gotten really overconfident with a win coming off of that game, or they could have it creep into their head like, oh my God, we just lost this big game that everybody was talking about, and we lost it, and now we're in trouble. And then you go out and you don't play well enough against a team that you absolutely should just boat race, okay, in the Chicago Blackhawks, who flat out stink, okay? And so towards this bigger concern is that game, not the Devils game last night. And he's spot on correct with that. Spot on correct. Win or lose, it didn't matter. The bigger concern was the game that followed it. And the outcome would dictate the mindset possibility. And so, like he even said, he's like, I got a plan in place. We're going to give him a day off. Then we have a couple days of practice, and we're going to work on it and get ready. And we're going to focus on winning that game in Chicago because that is important. It's not one of those you just look ahead to the next game and the cliche things that he's saying. I think in this particular instance, he's 100% right. And that in the result of last night's game, it's good that fans care enough now. It's good that fans care about this team again, and that they're upset that they lost the game. That's fine, but let's not make that game mean more than it really meant, because it didn't. It only meant 1 of 82 in the grand scheme of things. That's my rant.
I'm with Anthony. I didn't even I just watched, I turned the game on and just watched it. I didn't treat it amazing. If it was in Newark or Philly, it didn't matter to me. It was just another game. Is it nice if you would have been able to pull to the 9 points? For sure. 4-point game is huge, but it didn't happen. So now you got to get back on the horse. Torts is right like that. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it would have been nice to get the points, but the game against Chicago is the one game. Ask the Pittsburgh Penguins that you don't want to lose. You can't give away points like that. Unfortunately for the Penguins last year, it happened last game of the year, and that cost them the playoff berth. So that's why you got to be ready to play against teams that are far weaker than you in the standings and that you expect to beat.
Yeah. Yeah. Now the one guy that it seems like a lot of people were concerned with, and Bundy had actually expressed a little bit of concern earlier, or maybe it was before we went live, but about Sam Ersson and about the fact that last night was not a perfect game by any stretch for him. And there are people asking questions like Frank here saying that it's not that he's solely responsible for the loss. It's that he's not coming up with the timely big saves lately. I don't know. I feel like if there's one guy on the ice that with these outdoor games, you just act like nothing happened. You really do throw the film in the trash can. It's the goalies in the outdoor game, because of how unpredictable the caroms are, because of how unpredictable the surface is going to play. And because of the sight lines, there are so many variables that go into it that when I look at it, I say, if he had a shutout yesterday, we would have lauded the shutout, right? Because that would have been, wow, you don't typically see it, right? The over hits in a lot of these games.
Actually, it does. The under usually does.
Well, listen, when the Flyers...
It went over yesterday, but...
It went over yesterday, and that's all that I care about. The other ones don't matter. But if he had a shutout yesterday, we go, all right, well, cool. But him to have, not a great game, I don't look at it and say, this is going to immediately impact his game. Remember, since the All-Star break, he's been, for the most part, locked down, absolutely airtight, and has stepped into that number one role.
I'll say two things to that. One, I'll agree with you on everything you said about playing goal outside, right? I mean, the players all talked about it, that the game plans, both teams, was just shoot the puck at the net. When you're playing outside, just get the puck. It's going to be harder on the goalie, right? It just is. I do think there are a couple of red flags that have started to come up with more film on Erson that he needs to fix. I do think that the teams are shooting glove side on him, and not necessarily just along the ice. I think it's you're trying to put that puck just over the pad or top shelf, right? And it was funny, like we talked. Remember me asking him about when I had him in the locker room, and I asked him about making the glove saves. There's a lot of shots going to that side, and it was funny that he joked that he called it sometimes you get sassy with your celebration of the save. But there's no question that teams are targeting that. So teams obviously see something in his game where the glove side is where his weakness is. So he has to work on that for sure. Mm-hmm. Last night, he did give up some rebounds. Now he doesn't normally. To me, I put the rebounds of last night's game. There were a couple of them. You say those two goals that were off of rebounds. Really, he's got to eat that puck. He's got to swallow that puck, right? Mm-hmm. But he hasn't been struggling with that in the games indoors. So you sit there and say, all right, is that a situation where it was just the elements, or is that something that we now have to look for? Is that something new that's cropping up with Sam Erson? I don't think it's something new that's cropping up, but we'll see. I look at it. It was certainly recognizable last night, right? It was there. It was on full plain display, but I'm not 100% convinced that that's something that's a problem with his game. So, but we'll see going forward, depending on how he plays in the future games.
By the way, historically, since 2018, the over/under now 8-8-1. So, pretty damn close. It was 8-8-1. I pulled it.
I think that if you look at the scores of those games, Russ,
I'm just saying the over/under. It's 8-8-1.
I'm not 100%
since 2018.
I didn't like that first game. The first goal last night, guys, was kind of. I was looking at the play, and I didn't know how that actually happened because it was a total breakdown and it happened so fast. And the views you get on TV are different. But that's one of those plays where I know they're telling Sanheim to get up the ice more, and he did. But you got to pick your spots because that had ended up being the play where he got up the ice, which they want him to do, and this is a give and take, but you got to know when to do it. And that breakaway happened because nobody picked up for him on the other side. And I don't think, to be honest with you, that was a time that he should have been up the ice to begin with. There was nothing good coming from that first play of that game, getting up like that. You got to pick your spots.
Look, and I think you're right on that, Bundy. And the one thing I wanted to say about that is, and I wonder, and this is something I really had a question for you, because obviously, as someone who played the game, you can probably answer this better than I can as someone who would suggest it. You know that the conditions are going to be what they are, and it's going to be a different type of game. Can you change your approach as a team for that one game and then go back to what you were doing? Because I'll tell you, I don't think that their get up the ice, push it north-south style works on that outdoor rink. I just don't, because it gets so much snow on the ice. It's tough to make those passes, right? The puck's going to go in a lot of different directions. It's going to be a bouncing puck a lot of times. It's tough to play that way, to be more aggressive. Is it maybe a game where you can sit there and say, let's be a little bit more conservative in this game and play it a little closer to the vest, and then we get back to doing what we normally do once we get back inside? And if it's something that's an easy switch to go back and forth like that, then I got to question the coaching in that regard.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, but the coach, I don't blame the coaching as much, Anthony, on that one as like laying it to the player and saying, like, you got to use your head.
Well, sure.
Like, you got, and the other thing too, like when you got to feel that. Like you gotta, it's even funny. I'll tell you a funny story. Like when you're even in the alumni game, guys were talking after, and I haven't played. We don't play anymore, right? But even when you're in the corner and there's a puck, you get this feeling in your stomach. It's almost like it's like a spider sense, right? Like, is there someone behind you, or is there someone there? And it's just from having played a long, long time, but it stays in your muscle memory and in your back of your head, right? And I wonder sometimes that's the thing. I wonder with where Torts gets like ticked off. Like, I don't know if guys think the game through or if they have that kind of sense of where there's danger on the ice or where the danger might be. And that's one of the big things I think watching a lot of the coverage last night. But I have no problem with with Torts giving certain guys the ability that can skate to get up the ice to help layer the rush. The problem is though is you can't just go up for no good reason.
Yeah, no, and I don't disagree with you. In 81 of the 82 games, I have zero problem with it. I was just asking if in that, because you know what the situation is going to be outdoors, do you then pull back a little bit and try not to play that style of game? Or is that asking too much for a team that gets used to doing things a certain way?
You know what, Anthony? I think it's just a pick your spot thing. Like, you got to know better, and again, early in the game, you want to be enthusiastic, but like, what was Sanheim last night? Was he -2 or they were out for a lot of goals? I know that.
Yeah.
And it happens. Like, he's playing top lines, and Heishier had a good night, but again, I just got to sense that danger, because I always say the thing you have to consider is the worst case scenario, and the worst case scenario is a goal against when you're on the ice. And so, how do you put your team in a spot where you feel that danger and it doesn't happen, especially at critical times of the game? The first 5 minutes is critical. The last 5 of each period is usually critical, certainly the last 2. That was a weird one because it really set the tone for the game. I have to go in a minute, guys, only because I've got a bit of a ride down to Baltimore. But I just felt like the Flyers couldn't get any traction. And when they did, there was stupid penalties, uncalled for stuff. There was Sanheim -3. Thanks, David. It was one of those games. And again, was it outdoors? Yeah, you can blame it on that. But I didn't really like the way, as Torts would say, the process went last night. Mm-hmm. Not a little bit. I didn't like how any of it went, and I didn't like the start. I didn't love the goaltending last night. And every time the Flyers looked like they were going to make it interesting, another goal was scored to put them back on their heels and forced to chase the game again. So,
yeah. One last thing before you roll, Bundy.
Yep.
One thing I did notice last night. First of all, I think that the 11-7 thing is starting to wear on me a little bit. But that's not what I really wanted to ask you about or talk about. Yeah, it's just I don't see how it continues to be a good thing. But Noah Cates only played 8 minutes last night. Scott Lawton played 16:51 and got up playing more on that third line with Paling and Hathaway. Probably a smart move on the coaching staff's part to kind of get the way Lawton's been playing since he's come back from the since come back from the All-Star break, to get him kind of playing more. And Noah Cates has not been impressive. Maybe slide him back down into that fourth line role.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that Noah Cates is going to have to be simply better than just a defensive player and just taking up space on the ice. They gave him all the rope that he could possibly have last year. He was like the kind of the golden child, right? Like Forster was beginning of this year. Morgan Frost in the doghouse, the Chateau Bow Wow, as we call it. But I mean, he's a guy that's, again, when you're playing for a team that's this team right now with this coach and this management, you have to do something to separate yourself from everybody else that's going to endear them. If you want to stay here, you're going to have to show them something that makes them want you to stay here. And right now, the way Noah Cates is playing, he's just a body on the ice. I don't see him doing anything extraordinary to take a bigger bite. And quite frankly, he's not at a point where he should be doing that. Morgan Frost got his ass kicked this year by the coach, up and down, mercilessly. Very rarely do you see that happen with a guy with a new contract. Noah Cates, I'd be interested to see how he handled that.
This is a funny line by R. Hextall 87. Cates was a Coots Jr. last year. Now he's Chris Vandevelde.
Guys, have a blessed rest of the weekend. I got to roll. We'll talk soon.
Enjoy the game, Bundy.
Bye, Bundy.
Thank you, guys.
You stay out of trouble, fella. Drive safe.
I'm going to always try. That's one thing I will do. I promise. I will always try to stay out of trouble.
There you go.
A for effort. See you guys.
See you. There we go. Bundy, our dear friend, our dear pal. Hey, a couple of things here before we head out. Philip Albert sent this over. The other day we were talking about Entourage. And I said, well, we got to throw it to Corn Pop because Corn Pop is the photoshopping genius behind putting you in the Borat thong.
Yeah.
But Philip Albert's the one who did this. It's going to look weird on the screen, but we'll try anyway. So this, Ant, is what he came up with. That silly podcast, Snow Taraj.
Yeah.
So Torts is Ari Gold. Intern Andrew is Turtle. I believe that makes you Vinny Chase in the back. Bundy's Johnny Drama. And I am E.
Yeah.
I think it's like, that's okay.
That's pretty good.
It's fair.
It's well
I don't
done.
think Torts would want to be in our Snow Taraj, but maybe.
No, it's good
I
work.
think at some point, maybe.
It was good work.
Open invitation. But here's the thing that people have really cared about and they want to know and they want to see, okay? And this is really big. And this is good for your ego. Here are the standings in our official predictions on the year. Now, what you'll notice is that after a
I think
very,
you
very...
screwed up. I think intern Andrew's got 20.
No, he's got 19.
I think he's got 20.
He's got 19.
Yeah, we'll talk later, but I think he's got 20. And I think you have 31 and I have 30. I think you're off somewhere. And Bundy's got 34. But that's okay. I keep track of it here at home too.
I don't think that's right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I am.
I think your math skills are
Okay.
atrocious.
Yeah.
They're very sad. Anyway.
I am within a point of you and within 4 of Bundy. That is correct, though.
That is correct. This is a good case of good news, bad news. The bad news is this rigged system where 2 points get you a perfect score have benefited you more than anyone else, except for
you, who
except
also
for
has
me.
4 of them.
and also Bundy, who also has 4 of them. I feel bad for intern Andrew, who only has 2 correct scores on the season. I will tell people though, a couple games ago, when the last goal was scored and that got 2 points, intern Andrew lost his shit. He was the most excited I think we've ever seen him at a game.
Yeah,
just because he knew what those 2 big points meant. Now I do feel a little bit bad for him because up until about last week, it really did look like he was going to get close to catching you. And now by virtue of 2 perfect scores, it doesn't look like it's going to happen for him.
No.
But you know what? He also got a very late start in this, and we are very proud of him, and we're proud of all of his accomplishments here in this life and doing the work on the Only Flyers podcast and on the Press Row Show. So
yeah,
kudos to him.
Yeah.
Was there anything else that you wanted to touch on before we peace out?
Did you see that Jaromir Jagr practiced with the Penguins yesterday? Was it yesterday or Friday?
No, I saw the thing about no. I saw the other thing. I saw Malkin, a Malkin quote about him, but no. So he practiced with the Penguins.
He practiced.
Why?
They let him practice because they're honoring him.
But why?
They're honoring him at the game today. I believe they're playing today, right? So I think they're having some kind of honor for Jagr, and so they let him skate. It was I think it was yesterday. It might have been Friday, but I think it was yesterday that they actually let him skate at practice with them. So I thought that was pretty cool. 52-year-old Jaromir Jagr, same age as Bundy, drafted in the same draft, and Jaromir Jagr's out there with the boys practicing.
I still think back to what a missed opportunity it was to not have him here another year.
I think how about it being a missed opportunity to not draft him?
Okay, but like that's like listen, that is what it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, like he was a good fit here when he was brought in for that 1 year.
He was, but that was more on him. You say it's a missed opportunity. Sure, it was, but it was more on him because the Flyers were willing to bring him back, and they just asked him to wait because they needed to clear some money. It was salary cap gymnastics that needed to happen there, and he didn't want to wait, so he signed with Dallas instead. That was more on Jagr. Like the Flyers wanted him to stay, and they were willing to offer him a contract. They just needed to make some things work first.
Yeah,
and he said no, he didn't want to wait. So. Anyway, I mean, yeah, I agree with you. It would have been better. I mean, like, I think that team had a chance of being good again the following year if he would have still been here, but no, it didn't quite work out. That team, we should have asked Mike Richards about that team when we had him on, because I remember talking to Richie and talking to John Stevens that summer after the Kings won the Stanley Cup, and they were convinced they were playing the Flyers in the final the year Jagr played here. Like they were convinced that that's who they were going to get. and they got New Jersey instead, who knocked off the Flyers and were not nearly as good a team as the Flyers were. And they were worried about it. Like Steven, I remember talking to Stevens. We were over in Voorhees, and he was watching his son skate, and we were just talking, and he was like, I'm not 100% sure that we make the run that we make as well as we do if we play the Flyers in the final.
Yeah,
they were worried about it, right? They really were. So interesting. It
is interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Very, very interesting. So I don't know how to feel about it, man.
Yeah. That's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I know that it's it ultimately it doesn't matter, but he was a lot of fun. He was a lot of fun to watch at that point in his career. It would have been very interesting to see. Now, can you? This won't happen. There's no chance that it happens. But like Jágr's stayed in some form of playing shape. Can you imagine if like Pittsburgh were to make a playoff run? Okay? Just hear me out. Pittsburgh makes a playoff run. They already have a bunch of old, decrepit players whose best days are behind them. They suffer an injury, and like Jágr's like, listen, I can play some shifts. Can you imagine if they just did it? Like, wouldn't that be something? Would that be something? I'm not saying would it make them better. I'm saying like, would that be a moment?
Oh, of course.
In your opinion, like when you sit back and you go, all right, Pittsburgh is going to make the playoffs. They lose a forward, and Jágr's there, and they say, come on in, play 8 minutes, 8 minutes of ice time.
I don't think.
Would that be fun?
It would be fun. I don't think they would ever do it, but I think it would be fun. Sure.
I mean, I'm insane. Look, like I don't hold hatred in my heart the way that a lot of people do for other teams. There are certain teams that I do, but like seeing Jágr play in the playoffs would be pretty freaking cool at this point in his career or lack thereof. Like it would be something I would watch. Yeah. I'd go out of my way to watch that game. But anyway, I think that's probably it for today, this morning.
It is. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
A lot of fun today. So big thank you to everybody who tuned in during the live show here on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twixter. By the way, head over to shop.snowthegoalie.com, pick up your merch. But not only that, get your tickets for our live show, the Press Road Show, March 16th.
Yeah, it's coming quick.
At La Sicilia in Oxford, Pennsylvania. Get your keisters down there. Buy your ticket. It includes not only the price of the show, the Press Road Show. We'll be watching the Flyers and Bruins game up on a big screen. But it also includes all of your food for the night. Big Italian buffet. Got pizza, pasta, all kinds of grill works, desserts. It's going to be awesome. I've been told that the food at La Sicilia is next level, and we're going to find out very soon. So I'm really excited. We're less than a month away. So if you've been thinking about it and you haven't gotten your tickets yet, make sure you go do that. They're going to start pushing now to their fine folks down in the Oxford area. I get that it's not close. For a lot of people, it's not a close drive. However, we have some people driving in from all over for this live show, which I'm very excited about. So hopefully, a bunch of you who are watching the show or listening to the show every week, a lot of people like to wait until the very last minute. Don't wait till the last minute this time. Get your tickets before the La Sicilia people start getting all the folks in Oxford to buy up the remaining tickets. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, it's going to be great, and we're going to make sure that Ant breaks his diet that day. And that's really what I'm here for.
There's going to be some cool door prizes too. We can't announce them just yet. I can tell you one of them is going to be a jersey. That I could say.
Yes.
Yeah, we have that. So be good stuff.
It's going to be like it will be. I think it's very safe to say, because you have to remember, Bundy will sign anything that you put in front of him that night, including his book.
Yes.
If you've been waiting to have that chance, I don't know if any of the other alumni are going to like pop in or show up. You never know. I don't think so. But like, is it possible? But there are going to be some really cool door prizes, as you mentioned. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Andrew Jacobson asks, is it going to be a Hitchcock jersey? It will not be. We can confirm it is not a Hitchcock jersey.
Does one of those exist?
I don't know.
It's better that if you do the sounder than you do it. The sounder is just so much funnier.
But it's going to be a lot of fun. Look at this, Joe Papel. I think Joe is down in Florida right now. So Joe Papel is coming up from Florida to join us for the live show, which is very cool. So
that's awesome.
Anyway, he'll sign anything. Yeah, don't make the goon reference, Andrew Fawcett, if you know what I'm talking about. I'll sign it, Doug.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, everybody have a great rest of your Sunday. Enjoy your weekend. What?
Eric Berkey's got a great recommendation.
Put the Hitch ringtone in the Snow the Goalie store. Huge seller. Yeah. Dude, that would be a great alarm clock. Are you kidding me?
It would.
It's like you're like me, and you're like, I really need to get to the gym. I don't know when. I'm going to get up at 4 a.m. to go to the gym. And all you hear in the morning is... But it's like... Can you imagine? That's one way to wake up. That's one way to wake your spouse. That's one way to wake up your significant other, anyone else in your life, is when you keep hitting snooze.
I will say that
she rolls over in bed to like smack you upside the head because all she keeps hearing is.
So I just have to say this, and we'll leave it at this. We'll end the show with this because we can't say anything. But
oh my God, La Sicilia.
La Sicilia. There you go.
And before people were saying Hitchihana.
Hitchihana, yeah.
All right, sorry, continue.
The reason we laugh so much at this is because we know some stories that can't be told about Bundy.
You're not supposed to say that. This is like...
But no, that's absolutely can. And that's why, if anybody wonders why we are constantly laughing, yes, it's funny, and it's funny for the fans too. But there is some stuff that we know that went on between Bundy and Hitch that makes it even funnier. So anyway, we'll leave it at that.
I also just laugh because I think it's hilarious, and I think he sounds just like Hitch, in fairness.
Yeah.
Anyway, time for us to go. Will we tell some of those stories at the live event at La Sicilia? You'll have to buy your tickets to find out. Who knows? Who's to say? Who's to say? Yeah. La Sicilia, March 16th. And again, a big thank you to our friends over at Packhorse Moving Company for sponsoring today's episode and all the episodes here on Snow the Goalie and this morning's The Morning After recap as we broke down what the hell happened in that Stadium Series stinker. Follow Anthony on Twitter at SanFilippo. Follow Bundy on Twitter at Therien6. I'm on Twitter at JoyOnBroad. Ant, do you have any other shows in the pipeline this week that you're going to be popping on to?
I think I'm doing WIP tonight with Hunter Brody, 6:20. I got a text from Kevin Cooney, so I'm assuming he wants me to go on 97.5 at some point. We'll see. We'll see what he says. I have to answer that text. And I hear that there's a rumor, just a rumor, that the baseball podcast is coming back tomorrow.
Whoa!
Just a rumor.
Really? Yeah. You guys going to stream that live, or is that going to be?
We got to figure that out because Big Bet Bob, he's like Punxsutawney Phil. He emerges after Groundhog Day, and then he's like, "Oh, it's baseball season. Let's talk baseball again." So
what a guy!
Yeah,
what a guy. Hey, tomorrow, Monday, President's Day, I'll be hosting a Crossing broadcast at 12 o'clock on all the Crossing Broad channels, YouTube, Facebook, and
maybe
Twitter.
I'll check in.
Maybe. Who's to say? We'll see if I let you on. But I'll be taking all of your questions, comments, and concerns from the weekend in sports. It doesn't just have to be Philly. And there's a phone number if you want to call and get your question or whatever, have your voice be heard. It's 215-839-8477.
Is that coming to Snow the Goalie sometime soon?
I don't know, maybe. I've thought about it. But, the show isn't, I don't know. Do we want to do that with this show? Do we want to do a different, maybe we could.
Yeah.
Who's to say?
Yeah.
But anyway, Crossing broadcast, 12 o'clock, Monday. Join me. It's going to be a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun last week, so it's going to be good stuff. And listen for Ant as he's all over the Philadelphia radio scene on Sunday. So, and the baseball show, assuming it comes back tomorrow. That'll be something.
Yeah.
There's your alarm. That should be.
No, that's Maria's making dinner now. She makes dinner on Sunday. She makes dinner at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Good on her. What's she making tonight?
What are you making over there, babe?
Gravy, eggplant rollatini.
Eggplant rollatini and some gravy.
Eggplant.
I like eggplant.
I'm sure you do. All right, and that is time for today's episode. We will talk to all of you later this week here on Snow the Goalie, the only Flyers podcast. Thanks for listening.